The LONGBOX CRUSADE presents
G.I Joe Chronicles, The Devil's Due Years.
Forget the Baroness! I, Cobra Commander, have returned! Oh no! Now to
Welcome to G.I Joe Chronicles, The Devil's Due Years. I'm one of your commanders, Pat Sampson, codename DJ Kristatos. And joining me, as always, is my battle buddy in this operation, Jared Albrick, codename Death Probe.
At ease, DJ Kristatos. To all the green shirts tuning in for this podcast, I want to welcome you all to Fort Longbox. We appreciate you tuning in to talk some post-2000 G.I Joe comics with us as we chronicle our way through the Devil's Due run. On this episode of G.I Joe Chronicles, DJ Kristatos and I are going to rotate in a special ops guest for the show. This episode, our special ops guest is Jeason Keen, codename Weazel Zkull, with Z's instead of We're still not sure that it's not my brother, but no, I'm looking at him on the screen, and if it's Jason's done a dang fine makeup job. If it's not,
I think it's one of those computerized things that we got going on. Somebody's messing with their ComStat, or someone's messing with the ComStat.
Well, anyway,
I'm going to move really jerk.
Well, welcome to Fort Longbox, Jeason Keen.
Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure to be here. I see you guys have tidied up. Looks nice, military grade. Nice stuff here.
We hang up the camo netting and all that stuff when we do this show. So this is the part of the show where we debrief our new recruit and we ask you twofold question. First one, what's your origin story with G.I Joe? How did you discover it? You know, most people either come in through the comic, the cartoon, or the toy line. So we'll be interested to see how you came in. And then after that, we're going to want to know your three favorite characters, be they Joe or Cobra. Good luck with all that. So how'd you come to G.I Joe?
You know, I was a child of the 80s, so you couldn't get away from G.I. Joe and Transformers if you tried. It was just everywhere. So those were, you know, a huge fandom for people of that age group at that time. The cartoons were great, but I think the action figures were probably more what I really was drawn to. I had two younger brothers, and, you know, Christmas, everybody kind of shared the presents, even though we knew who, you know, got what. It kind of went into a big pile, at least because I was the older brother. That's the way I read it anyway. So
it's like older brother Jason.
Yeah, you know, it kind of happens that way. I didn't get a Sky Striker either, though, but I did have
another
a
coincidence.
So, you know. Yeah, so the action figures. So I was really thinking about who my favorite action figures would be. Like when we would lay them out and, you know, we would pick our armies. That was the best game of all time, was just pick, you know, who's going to be on your team. So I would go for the more colorful or, you know, bad looking guys. What I went down to was Cobra Commander in his armored look. That was the one I had. I didn't have the cool hood, or, you know, no one had the cool hood, but I didn't even have the cool helmet. But I had the silver armor.
Version 3, I think, 87.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's right. Then I really liked Python Patrol when those came out. So I went with Copperhead just because he's the only named character of that group. You know, the rest are Vipers and stuff. But yeah, that was my Copperhead. And for my last one, I picked this is a little obscure, a Toxo Viper.
Okay. I thought Python Patrol Copperhead was obscure. You took it to a whole other level.
Yeah.
And you've moved into the early 90s, I think, Toxo Viper, maybe.
Yeah. It was one of the series right around that same time as the Python Patrol. Either that same one or the one right after, I think.
Is that the Eco Warrior series?
Not quite there. It wasn't they're completely into the Captain Planet stuff.
I track you.
Okay. Yeah.
I think you're talking about 89. So, anyway, I know.
Yeah. He's got a purple uniform, this ridiculous helmet with yellow, red, and brown on it. And I think that was the reason I liked him. He was just the most unique, and you knew that when you lined him up, you know, your brothers were picking not only among G.I. Joes, but Transformers. So this guy had to be bad enough to stand up to, you know, the occasional Autobot, too. So,
all part of the strategy.
Yeah. So, yeah, those are my three.
I like it. I like very individual, and I totally dig that. So that is our guest, Jeason Keen, the Weazel Zkull. And
No.
I still sense some things that are similar to the Weazel, so I don't know.
Jerry's still out.
Yeah.
All right.
We may have to get both of them together at once so we can actually see, and But,
that's a bad idea. That's a bad idea. No, nobody wants that. It's silly right now.
well, we will see. We will see what happens. Who knows what Jason would do just to get a Crusaders club?
He'd go to a lot of
You found my bit.
All right. Well, I think it's time to get to this episode's intelligence report. For this mission, we will be covering G.I. Joe number 30. Publisher was Devil's Due. Cover date was May 2004. Writer was Brandon Jurwa. Penciler Tim Seeley, Jason Millett, and backgrounds. Inker was Corey Hampshire. Colorist is Brett R. Smith. Letter goes to Dreamer Designs. Cover art to Tim Seeley, Andrew Papoy, and Tony Washington. And speaking of the cover, Death Probe, please take us through the cover description.
You got it.
Take cover!
This cover features Duke, or maybe Hawk. I think it's Duke. Anyway, let's go with Duke. Let's say Duke is standing on the left side of the cover, carrying 2 automatic pistols. And on the right, there's 3 vignettes. Cobra Commander looking menacing, Baroness looking pensive, and Destro with his back turned. In the background, there's a very metaphorical Cobra emblem, and it is crumbling. Back to you, Pat. What do you think? Is Duke? I'm pretty sure it's Duke.
I think it's Duke. According to the story, it's Duke. But, he does got that Hawk vibe to it with what he's wearing.
Yeah, the outfit definitely reminds me of the second Hawk figure, but I'm pretty sure it's Duke.
Yeah.
Duke looking generic. Who would think, right?
Yeah, what a surprise.
Vanilla ice cream.
We like it, but it's
right. Nothing wrong with it. But
I think you make a good point, Pat. I think based off the story, that's totally Duke.
I think it is, yeah. Because you know what? In the other stories we covered, we really don't see Hawk doing a lot of action-y stuff.
That's right. He's more doing the
stuff. Now he's the overseer, so maybe he just handed down his outfit to Duke and said, hey, you can fit this now, son, so you can go ahead and wear my cool outfit I got from, way back then.
Like Duke was going through Hawk's trash. He's like, are you going to throw this away?
Yeah.
And Hawk was like, well, I was going to donate it to Goodwill.
One man's.
And Duke was like,
And somewhere Flint just rolls his eyes and goes walking past. Oh, God. Okay.
All right. Well, now that we're talking about the cover, let's find out what you guys thought about it. I mean, let's just say that's Duke, and we'll go at that point. So, with that, Jason, Weazel Zkull. Maybe I'm saying that. I'm a bad. What's your thoughts on the cover?
I like the cover. It's overall, it does its job. It tells you who's going to be in the issue and who's important. It's very recognizable characters on the cover, on the Cobra side, at least. I mean, Cobra Commander looks great. Baroness, everybody instantly knows her. Even Destro with his cool Macho Man promo with his back turned to the camera. You know who he is. But Duke is just generic. He's never been my favorite Joe, so I wouldn't necessarily, hang this on my wall. I wouldn't put this at a perfect 10 by any means, but it's a comparable cover. It does what it's supposed to do. It tells you, hey, G.I. Joe, Cobra, in this issue. Cobra's messed up.
Jarrett, what's your thoughts?
I largely agree with Jason. Out of the 30 issues we've now covered, Pat, I think this is maybe the weakest cover we've had, but it's not bad. At first glance, I was like, I mean, it looks kind of a little rushed. I was already thinking Tim Seeley was rushed because you notice he had someone else do his backgrounds in this issue.
Sure.
And so I was like, maybe he's a little rushed. But the more I looked at it, the more it kind of grew on me. There's a lot of simplicity to it. It's sort of a generic Duke picture. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if this was sort of a Duke, doodle is too strong a word, but just a little Duke he was working on. And he was like, you know what? We can make a cover out of this. We'll put a quick Cobra Commander and a Baroness and Destro with his back turns, and those may even be clips from somewhere else for all I know. It feels a bit, that's where I'm going with this, Pat. It feels a bit photoshopped together.
Okay.
But what raised it as the more I looked at it is I was like, that crumbling cobra emblem in the background is pretty cool.
See, I didn't notice that until you just pointed that out.
Yeah, very metaphorical. It's hard to notice because of all the 3 vent circle thing. Yeah. It does tell a story, which is what Jason was saying, and it won't get a terrible score from me, but it's not super standout for the 30 we've seen so far.
Okay. What I like about it is the kind of, you call them the vignettes, the circles that are there. I like the Cobra Commander in that hood and just kind of, him staring at you kind of menacingly.
That's probably the best drawing
that's cool.
of the 3. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think you're right. I think the Destro one is probably from the issue before where he was like, see ya. And you can see his hands up like, see ya, I'm out of here. But, as Jason said too, you can tell that is definitely Destro there. And, the Duke, it kind of grows on me. The more I look at it, that was my action figure. I'd pose him like that.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I think that'd be really cool.
I think that's Duke's command style. He just grows on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, he's
and with all that,
he's favorite guy, but he's a good guy. So, yeah.
But I didn't notice that crumbling cobra symbol until you said it. And reading the story, kind of get some pieces together here. Not a bad one for me. But let's go ahead and find out. How would we rate this cover? We rate it on a scale of 1 to 10 flag points. 1 meaning you didn't like it at all, and 10 meaning it's perfect and you would make it a recruiting poster out of it. Jason.
Well, I hate to come in and be like, a low ball score right away, but I'm going to say 7. Just
that's not bad. I was expecting like Jared low ball where it's like, I hated it.
Sounded just like me.
Yeah, I was uncanny. No, it's not a bad cover at all, but it's, Duke is not my favorite character. It's a little bit hard to figure out who he is. Destro, while looking cool, is turned around. So you're missing the coolness of Destro with the look of him. So it's nice, but it's nothing that I could see a poster being made of and people really putting this up. And
Mm-hmm. Jared, do you agree with him?
I totally agree, actually. At first glance, I was thinking a 6, which is, it's above average. 5 is average. So I was like, it's still decent. But the crumbling cobra emblem, when I looked deeper into it, bumped it up to the 7. So, I'm going to give it a 7. It's not super standout. It's not terrible. It's just it's a very solid, functional cover.
All right. Well, I'm going to give it an 8. I kind of like it. I like the way Duke looks, and I think there's a lot of detail in the drawing of Duke. And, of course, the Cobra Commander. That picture makes it, if that was a button, that'd be a cool button to have.
Oh, definitely.
And
agreed. The Cobra Commander's the best one of the.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then the crumbling Cobra symbol. If you didn't read the story, that's what does it for me, having read the story. The first time when I opened it up to read it, I was like, oh, okay, it's a decent one. But now that I know the story, these symbols will remind me of what's in here.
The Cobra symbol, I didn't notice it crumbling either, honestly, until I was getting ready for the show. And I was like, okay, let me really look at the cover because, it's just kind of hidden behind all the circles. But, I think it really works better as a second read through. And then you look at the cover and then it's, oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
All right, well, with the cover out of the way, let's go back to Death Probe for the story synopsis in our mission brief.
Here on G.I Joe Chronicles, we like to mix it up a bit. I'm going to have DJ Kristatos pull the randomizer to determine the synopsis point of view. Will I tell it from Joe's point of view or Cobra's point of view? Well, DJ Kristatos, pull the randomizer.
Pulling it now. The randomizer has chosen Cobra.
It's chosen Cobra a lot lately. I use a real randomizer, so it's like, okay, well.
It's like flipping it's one way or another.
Made in Cobra Isle? Have you guys seen the sticker? Is this? Okay, never mind. All
right. Well, I'll give you this. Got a lot going on in this book, so I'm going to give you the most abbreviated version I could. So here we go.
Cobra attack!
So, who was trying to hitch a ride off of Cobra Island with Barrel Roll in the last issue? Ends up, it was our very own Dr. Mindbender. And it totally did not work out for him as Barrel Roll ditched him and escaped the island with an assist from a pesky Joe team helicopter lift. However, it seems like Cobra Commander is already aware that the Joe intruder planted digital listening devices in our computer network. We may be able to use that against the Joes. The Commander and Baroness are still wondering if they can trust each other with the departure of Destro. And speaking of which, it turns out Destro was indeed behind the Sierra Muerte, Sierra Gordo altercation. And that jerkface Duke infiltrated his ranks and was undermining Destro the whole time. Well, I guess Destro should have stuck with Cobra. Cobra out.
Now back to G.I. Joe.
Yeah, there was a lot going on in this one, I think.
It was.
Yeah, this was a thick issue for a G.I. Joe comic. Of looking through some of the ones that came before this, it was very, action-oriented, moving through story, but it told through action. This one, you had to read a lot. It was a lot of subtle stuff intermixed in.
Definitely.
Well, you're right. There was a lot going on. So we need to get to our highs and our lows on this issue. So, Jason, you get to go first. Round one. You got a high or a low or a what the?
And I'm going to give a high to Dr. Mindbender. Dr. Mindbender said, never give up, never surrender. And he is not. He is, every ounce of that man is survival. He sees his way off the island. Show what? It's a G.I. Joe. I'll snap his neck and take over the helicopter. I'm sure that he had a plan. So the fact that he's on Cobra Island with, got to be at least tens of thousands of other people who are actively looking for him, and he's managed to evade them and still is trying to get off. Yeah, you got to give him respect for not throwing in the towel.
No, he
got bonkoed off of that.
He needed a towel after that, but yeah, he's not.
Basically, Barrel Roll just kind of gave it the gas and tossed all Mindbender off the jet ski.
He told him to hold on.
Told him to hold on.
Oh,
but
it's me and that banana boat in Tampa all over again.
And like you said, man, like Mindbender just like comes up, starts busting some cats, sprints off into the woods, and we don't see him again for the rest of the issue.
see, I'm picturing Mindbender running away. They don't show it here, but in my mind, I can hear Mindbender just pop some cats, boom, 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 and then just run away screaming with his hands in there. Into the wood.
Like, I haven't read
You never
the
catch
series
me, see?
past this issue, so I can't wait to see. I'm hoping that he just keeps popping up periodically every now and then. It's like that weird look-at character from the old She-Ra cartoon that you had to find him every issue, every episode it came on. So find Dr. Mindbender. He's just in the background lurking.
Excellent. What about you, Pat? Round one, high, low, what the?
I'm going to go for a lot of the character moments in here. They mentioned it too, and we've been saying it the last few episodes of how crazy Cobra Commander is. He's more serious than what he's been before. And not only are we seeing it as a reader, but the characters in the comic are saying it too, that Baroness was talking to the twins. They're both like, yeah, we've never seen him like this before. Something's going on with him. And so it's got me thinking too, what's changed in the Commander?
Besides his baller new outfit with the red cape.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah, that cape, man. Oh, my God. That's amazing.
I don't remember, and it makes me think like someone body swapped him. Or I don't know, I don't know.
I don't know, but like he's also on top of things. He's like basically like, hey, yeah, I know that dude was planting some devices on our network.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of onto him. So you kind of wonder, like, is he really onto him? Does he know all the devices? Can he use that against him? I'd be interested to see if that pays off.
Yeah.
This is the most competent Cobra Commander ever. I mean,
yeah.
And you know what? He's not even worried about Mindbender running around on the island.
Exactly. Like that is like item F-37 on his list of things to do. He's not even. He like, knows where Mindbender is.
He ain't going nowhere.
He'll get him when he's ready.
He's like, I'm just gonna let that dog run around in the yard like that.
Yeah, he's not getting out anywhere. He's in the back.
Well, for my first round, my high is going to kind of roll into a what the. My high is that my instincts were correct in the last issue. So I'm giving myself a pat on the back.
Good
that,
one, Jerry.
That
Good one.
Destro was playing both sides of this for his own benefit.
Mm-hmm.
And then it rolls into a what the, because he gets the rug pulled out from under him, basically. It didn't quite work the way he thought. And I'm like, well, that kind of wraps that up. And I'm like, wait a minute. This is like part 3 of a 5-arc storyline. So what's next, really? I mean, there's dangling threads, but it still ends on a note of finality of basically like it ends with like Baroness saying, well, screw Destro. You know, he can rot for it. And that was the end. And I'm like, well, that kind of wraps up the whole Sierra Muerte, Sierra Gordo thing.
Yeah.
We still have 2 more issues in this arc. So I'm interested to see what's next. And with that, we'll go back to Jeason for round 2. High, low, what the?
Kind of piggybacking on what you just said, I had a low for Destro for just falling for the Duke switch. That seemed really lame. You have your main guy and he gets taken out in the hallway. Okay, fine, that happened. You notice he's missing, pull the gun on the lady that was escorting him back. Okay, this isn't going to work. But then another guy wearing his costume, unless Duke is impersonating his voice and is perfect with the height and weight and the build of this guy, I just think Destro should have been a smarter character and picked up on this. So that was my low. I'm thinking what you were wondering about with how they're setting up for the future. Maybe they're just going to take Destro off the table for a while and then bring him back big and bad when they need him. Yeah.
That sounds smart. Yeah.
Yeah, that could be. When you punch somebody in the face with a helmet like that, are you really going to knock them out? Or isn't that going to hurt your... I mean, that's a metal helmet or some sort of...
You can, because that metal helmet's going to smack...
Yeah. I think it would help you, but you're going to sacrifice your knuckles.
Yeah, it's going to hurt like... But it's Duke.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know.
Grab those big boa gloves and...
Oh, well, what do you think, Pat? Second round.
I was going to mention the Sierra Gorda and the other one.
Fat Mountain and Death Mountain.
Yeah. I was kind of surprised to see what the Joes were doing and that they were way ahead of what was happening. You're right, Jeason. To see Destro get duped like that, it's like, come on, dude. You don't have some sort of an intelligence going on either sides, or, you know, if you were going to plan all this out beforehand, wouldn't you have been scoping it out ahead of time on what's going on?
Yeah, that he got played so hard is kind of hard to, comprehend, especially he got played twice in this issue, by the Duke and the others.
And now he's getting played by, or he's getting at least dissed by Baroness.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even know it.
Yeah, that's on him. He walked out. He could have told her he was thinking of leaving. That's, come on, dude. Communication. But this was the early 2000s. He hadn't read all the self-help books yet. So.
Oh, yeah. And the artwork in here I liked it.
Yeah, well, your turn is up and it's my turn. My high for this round is going to be the artwork. Tim Seeley is really hitting his stride. And even though he kind of outsourced the backgrounds to Jason Millett or Millet, I'm not sure which way he pronounces that. It still felt a little seamless. Like I couldn't tell that someone else had done background work.
No, I couldn't tell either.
And like we said, Cobra Commander's new design with the cape is boss. Baroness just looks great. You get to see his take on people like Tunnel Rat and some of my favorites like Tunnel Rat and Low Light. Right? I think everybody got shot in this issue. Low Light got blowed up.
God.
Yeah, and it was like very action packed, but because the story was kind of twisting on itself, it was like, we're fighting with these guys and we're running from these guys, but now we're joining with these guys. And I was like, I have a hard time keeping up. But having said all that, the art is really spectacular. And I want to give a particular nod, not just to Tim Seeley for really hitting his stride here, but the colorist, man. The colorist.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. That's what I really
Dreamer Designs, I think. Oh, Brett Smith. The Dreamer Designs does the lettering, which is actually very good. Mm-hmm. Brett Smith does the coloring, and man, it always looks good.
Yeah.
Especially on that final page with Baroness and the sunset. There's a lot of, just really nice shading done here with, how the light would hit her glasses and reflect here and off of Cobra Commander's mask. It's good stuff.
Really good with tones. You're looking at the last page. I refer you to the very first page where he goes into that comm center And Televiper's lit up from the red light of the monitors.
Yeah.
And same with Cobra Commander. He's got the red light coming off the monitor. Just really great color work.
Yeah.
Color work is extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Pat.
It helps set the mood. You can definitely feel the moods in here when they switch scenes.
Absolutely. So, Pat, you know what this means. It's time for you to run at the mouth with anything you have left on your list of things to talk about.
Well, I just got 2 things I want to talk about.
But each in 16 parts. One is the concept of G.I. Joe.
What is G.I. Joe?
Let's break it down.
What does the G stand for?
Why is G.I. Joe?
Gee, I don't know. What is that?
You bring up a good question, Pat. I wonder how many people who read Love G.I. Joe know what G.I. stands for.
Probably not as many as
I would say. Like, is it like general infantry?
General issue?
Or issue?
Government issue.
Government issue?
Government issue.
Government issue Joe.
Editor's note from the Death Probe here. As I was editing this, I wanted to make sure that as I was just relying on my memory that GI did indeed stand for government issue. But in my research, I found that while that is true, GI does refer to government issue. Another accepted part of its lore is general issue, which is what Pat had said moments ago. So Pat was actually right. Both definitions are accepted. Sometimes GI was referred to as general issue, and sometimes it was referred to as government issue, and they're somewhat interchangeable. But credit where it's due, Pat's instincts were correct. General issue, government issue, they both work. Now back to the show.
Now we know.
And knowing is half the battle.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, somewhere my grandfather rolls in his grave.
it's funny, we were just joking about it, then it struck me. I was like, it's such a common phrase, G.I. Joe, G.I. Joe. Like, you don't really stop to think, what does that stand for? What's the G.I. stand for? Anyway, Pat, enough of that.
No, that's good. Good to know. So my stuff that I had was, I like it with Copperhead.
Yes.
You get to see him and the other vehicles just all going after. When you see these vehicles, they look like, I'm looking at the page that has Copperhead's, the water moccasin, and then you have the hydrofoil.
Hydrofoils, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then next to it, though, there's a shark.
Yeah. I thought that was
I
like,
saw that too.
I thought, did Cobra like get the plans of the shark? And
I don't know.
You know, this is similar to me and my brothers picking characters. Maybe they just got to pick that vehicle that time.
For that time.
And, you know.
Well, there was, like the Tiger Force or whatever, theirs was a swapping of, wasn't there? Swapping of some vehicles between them.
I think so. I think you're right. Yeah. So it makes sense. They would capture something sometimes and just turn it against them.
But what I like about that scene is what Barrel Roll does. I'm like, okay, well, he's got to get onto this rope. And so as the chopper comes to get him, he's making a run for the chopper. And so then the hook comes down. He hooks the ski-doo or, the jet ski. And I'm like, why is he doing that? Why don't he just, jump on that and they can whisk him up right away? And then you see what he does.
so he can drop it off.
So he can drop it on.
So he can National Lampoon.
I was like, that's pretty smart.
Pat, late breaking news.
Well, yes.
Whilst we were talking, I did some looking in the background. In 2001, the shark was re-released with a repaint job for Cobra, and it was called the Wave Crusher.
Oh,
so they're trying to sell toys again in here.
Nice,
This is the 2001 Wave Crusher rebranded shark. It's got all Cobra emblems. I just looked that up at yojo.com while you guys were talking.
Ah, cool.
If you don't have one of those and you have a shark, just take your G.I. Joe stickers and cover them with Cobra stickers, and then you have, it works. That works.
There you go. 2001, it was released as part of Series 17 and came with the driver who was called Sub Viper. There you have it.
Now we know.
And knowing is half the battle.
Sub Viper, because they like subs.
He's not quite as good as a Viper.
Yeah,
he's Sub Viper.
Yeah.
Also, he loves a delicious 6-inch hoagie. It's a 2-for-1.
I think that would be my name, Sub Viper.
Cobra Island probably only has a blimpie, so yeah.
Sub Viper, extra mayo. Pat, I have derailed you so many times today, but I just looked that up and couldn't wait to share.
Oh, I do appreciate it, though. I appreciate it. That's all I had. The water vehicles.
the
that we
water
saw.
vehicles,
Yeah,
and then
the
the dropping
attack
of the jet ski on
Yeah, on Copperhead.
that was great.
You know, I want to be in that helicopter when he comes up and he has to explain that to Flint, like why he wasted time doing that and also why he left a valuable hostage on the beach. The Mindbender, their whole operation was there to set up surveillance and making sure they knew what Cobra's up to. Gee, I think maybe Command might want to talk to Dr. Mindbender if he's on the back of your jet ski.
Hey, I tried. I told him to hold on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That story is like, dude, he was right there. I was dragging him, but they pulled him away. And
I like the fact that they got a little bit of mileage out of what are they calling her? Verona? Is that right?
Yeah, Verona.
I was
yeah.
a big fan of October Guard. So when they like used this last several issues to sort of absorb her into the team, I thought it was kind of cool. And they're actually using her. So I thought that was kind of neat. And they had a funny little bit where they're trying to teach her American style comedy. And there's a dated joke in there about never going full Pauly Shore or something like that.
I'm like, oh,
that might hold up. That might.
So that's so dated. But...
Never go full Weazel.
Oh, wait. So he's not Jason.
oh,
Or our Jason. He is. Dang it. Circle back on myself again. I'm going to hand it back to DJ Kristatos for the IG's report on the combat readiness of this issue.
and for those of you who don't speak military, GI, like I just learned that too. So obviously I'm in that category now. That means we're going to score this issue's story on the same 1 to 10 flag points scale we used earlier. So, Jason, on a 1 to 10 scale, what would you rate this issue?
I would rate this issue an 8 overall. It held up well on a reread for me. The first time through, I was definitely confused with the whole story with the president's, double-crossing Destro. They were talking back and forth to each other, and we weren't in on the story yet. But it was that much more enriching to read it the second time through. So it didn't jump out at me also because it was a Duke story. Had we inserted almost any other Joe, like, where's Spirit? Where's, Shipwreck? Somebody else. But I understand Duke's one of the main Joes they were trying to push. This is kind of the relaunch after the first 24 issues. We're still trying to let everybody know, hey, G.I. Joe's over here now. Let's go with the biggest character we've got. So 8 for me overall. It's still a great story.
Very good. Jared.
Again, I think I'm going to join Jason. I think an 8 is a good spot to be on this one. It does require either a very sort of slow, methodical read or a double read to make sure you get all the
Everything going on.
who's duping who read. But man, it is packed full of action, and it features some of, like I said, some of my favorite characters from the mid waves of Joe's, like Lowlight and Tunnel Rat, that I've always really liked. So that was kind of just neat to see them get some use. And like I said, Verona. So anyway, long story short, I like it at an 8. What about you, Pat?
I'm going to agree with both of you as well, too. This is an 8 for me. Comfortable read through, knowing what's going on in the story. Lots of story development happening, character development as well, too. And as you mentioned, Jared, the use of Verona and also some of the other newer characters that are happening. You see Hacker and, again, Barrel. We kind of see that come to an end of why he was there and what he was trying to do. So, yeah. I'm at a comfortable 8 on there. I'm looking forward to see what happens next, especially with Destro. Is he going to come back? Is not? I want to know what happens with Crazy Commander. That's what really I'm interested in, is because he's still, at the end, you see him talking to the Baroness. He's still got that baller cape on, and he's just walking around like, I'm all this.
Like right now, he's my favorite character of the series. He's who I want to read and follow and see what his story is. I know eventually he'll mess it up, but right now he is kicking on all cylinders. Everything's going Cobra Commander's way. After that Serpentor fight, this is one of my favorite moments, and that was one of my favorite moments.
He's definitely established himself as the top dog after defeating Serpentor.
Serpentor, yep.
I'm sorry, I mispronounced it.
Yeah, I got it.
Well, since we're talking about a big guy and who is a top dog in this issue, let's go ahead and find out who we want to award this episode's Silver Star medal or Silver Snake for Sneaky Snaky-tude or in gallantry in action. This is where each of us get to award the character in this issue who went above and beyond the call of duty or below and under the snakiness. So, Jason.
I am going to give it to President De La Cruz. I thought he did a great job of standing up to this armed terrorist who's coming in with all his thugs and playing it so cool, knowing that he's going to punk this guy out badly later on, but just to sell that as he knows his country's on the line. He's made the deal already, but he's got to sell it. Otherwise, this thing's not going to work. They're not going to be able to capture him, and then he's going to be in trouble. So for him to maintain that level of cool in this, I got to give it to El Presidente.
Muy bien. I got to tell you, when I was reading this, just to tack on to what Jason was saying, and this is going to be an obscure reference for a lot of people, maybe not Pat. I don't know, Jason, your familiarity with the James Bond franchise, but when I was reading him, he was totally played by Pedro Armendariz, who played Karen Bay and From Russia with Love.
Sure.
Like, just like that confidence, that machismo.
Yeah.
You know, I was just like, this is totally Pedro Armendariz. Rest in peace.
Mines.
Yeah. Back to the salt mines guy. Like, yeah. Anyway, I know I went on a tangent, but I just thought
this guy was buff though too. He's like,
he was huge. Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, you're right. For him to take on Destro and his army coming in there.
Yeah,
like,
and just to remain that calm and he's got to take care of his old country right now. So it's
he was cool.
Good moment. Yeah.
Good pick, Jason.
Thanks.
Jared.
I'm gonna punk out and take over Commander for a Silver Snake, man. He's in control. He's in control of his emotions. You know, basically he's got Destro running around doing the side thing, and he's just like, I don't care. That's his thing. I got bigger fish to fry. In this case, I would cast Christopher Walken as Cobra Commander. Because he's a little crazy, but he's weirdly in control. Like Max Zorn. I'm doing all James Bond reference.
I just want to hear him yell Cobra then. Yeah, Cobra.
I was a man. All right, so I guess I'm done James Bond cast. Well, let's see who Pat picks.
Both were great picks. So I'm just going to choose something out there. I'm going to go with Ripcord.
Nice.
Leading the Joes that were in the field.
Yeah, that was a tough spot.
And that, so he seemed to be kind of stepping up in that role with that team. So I'm going to give it to him for just kind of leading along. You know, a couple people got hurt along the way, so he had to, make sure everybody's in the positions for what they had to do.
As played by Jack Lord from Dr. No, the original Felix Leiter. There, I've rounded it out for today.
Yeah, I love the way that you guys have mentioned it before, how this is just full of deep cuts, this series. It's not only the basic Joes that everybody knows, it's the hardcores. You get your smiley moments in this too, because that guy.
Mm-hmm. Someone remind me, there was a third member of that team who basically I was thinking of him as not Spirit.
Tunnel Rat.
Oh yeah, let's see.
Wasn't there another like Native American dude that was running around with them? And I was like, who is that? And I'm sure they referenced it, and I probably just missed it.
We got Recondo,
Low Light. He's running around with Ripcord a lot. Dart.
We're going to sound like we knew it right off the top of our heads.
It's Dart. Yeah. I think Dart was one of the characters that was new circa around 2001. But I just kept calling him Not Spirit. I'm like, all right, Not Spirit, do your job.
Yeah, he's the guy with the helmet with the goggles on top of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
The guy who kind of looks like Spirit, but's not Spirit.
Yeah.
Well, it's all right. Neat how they mixed in like a brand new character also. Not only the obscure picks, but
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. They got to sell them toys, man.
Yep, definitely. And this was a good issue to get some of that out to sell.
Yeah, a lot of action figures and vehicles featured in this issue. So if that's what you're doing, like you said, the shark was repainted and that was in the issue. So, yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And speaking about toys, that's a good segment that we can go into Death Probe's toy chest. Jared, why don't you tell us what's in your toy chest?
Yes, I will.
It's here, the G.I. Joe collection, each sold separately. G.I. Joe from Hasbro.
In this segment, I'll take something or someone featured this issue and give you a brief toy history on it. And for this issue, I have selected the Iron Grenadier.
Time Tired of the fanatical ravings of Cobra Commander and Serpentor, Destro goes it alone.
Destro's back on the attack, out to conquer the world on his own!
Leading Destro's army is the anti-gravity pod, the HEP.
Who needs Cobra? With my demon and the Iron Grenadiers, neither Joe nor Cobra are a match for me.
Go, Joe!
Nobody beats G.I Joe, the real American hero!
Can Destro's army destroy Joe and Cobra? Find out at Marvel Comics.
Often mispronounced by Pat as the Iron Grenadier.
Iron Grenadier, yeah.
That's the way I said it too, Pat. So,
that's all right.
I put Grenadier in my.
That's Grenadine.
Oh.
The Iron Grenadier was Destro's elite guard, and I just adore his specialties on his file card because they are as follows: terrorism, sales, and marketing development. Not making that up. That is on the file card. You know, Larry Hama was chuckling to himself when he came up with that. But if you think about it, being in Destro's elite guard, basically being a VP of Destro Industries, yeah, in weapons sales, marketing, and development. So sure, it makes sense from a certain angle.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. You got to know how the weapons work
Exactly.
and display them. Yep.
You got to be able to smooze the clients.
Exactly. There's a lot to like about this figure that's very subtle. So first, let me tell you the description. Okay, basically wears pretty much a head-to-toe black uniform to include a black helmet. It's got some red and gold highlights. The lower half of his face is covered by a red bandana. His accessories include a gold sword, a black submachine gun, and a red pistol. He was first released in U.S. toy stores as part of Series 7 in 1988 and discontinued in 1990. As of this recording, which is March of 2022, there are 9 versions of the Iron Grenadier. And his original version in 88 was a completely unique sculpt. They didn't reuse any body parts from any other figures. Now, let me explain to you why I say this is a subtly very cool figure. This figure was released at the same time as Destro version 2, Gold Mask Destro,
Okay.
with the black red trim. So I love the fact that they were matching.
Mhm.
Like this goes well with that figure. It's black with the red trim. It looks like it's part of Destro's uniform style.
His entourage.
Exactly. And it goes even deeper than that. If you remember, that version of Destro came with a sword. These guys are carrying a very similar, if not the same. I haven't compared the two. Might be the very same sword, which I think is another cool sort of nod to military history where your elite officers usually carry a sword, you know, sort of a Civil War thing or even a Japanese World War II era thing.
Okay. Yeah,
Where your elite officers carry swords. And I thought that is really a cool thing. And then I mentioned he carried a red pistol, very similar to one of Destro's original pistols, like the one that came with his original figure, I think. Might have been the re-release. Anyways, it's similar to one of Destro's pistols, which again is continuity. Sword, pistol, uniform, absolutely fits with the way Destro runs his private army. So
His marketing is on point.
it is.
Yeah. Yeah. He's giving Cobra a run for his,
Yes.
wanting to jazz things up and make sure his branding's on point.
Yes, his branding is clearly on point. Now, with all that toy history given, we need to check in. Pat, did you have the Iron Grenadier figure as a kid or now?
I did not as a kid, and I don't have it now, but I would love one. I mean, guys are cool, just especially from seeing them in the comic when they show up with Destro. It's cool. These guys are like my favorite guys.
I know that's part of the reason why I picked him for this episode. I know you're a big fan. What about you, Jason? Part of your collection?
No, I wasn't able to get a hold of this guy. I think when this line came out, when you said 88, 89, I think that was about the time that I was starting to move away from G.I. Joe slightly, but my brothers were still collecting. I think I did ask for the Destro, the gold Destro that came out, but then my mom caught on to the idea that, wait a minute, this is a brand new version of the same character, and you're going to get a whole army based around him, and that's what I'm going to... No. So, yeah. She shut that down hard. She's like, you've already got 2 armies. We're competing. I don't need a third. So,
But she was figuring it out. I love it.
Was on it.
I'm pretty sure he's in my collection as of now. I don't think I got him as a kid. I think this is a yard sale acquisition from my years of collecting that way. because I know I had to make tough decisions back then, and I definitely got the Destro with the little air skiff thing that he came with, and I don't think I had
mine.
Oh,
Sounds like a Sky Striker to me.
in the arms of the angel. Well, there you have it. That is the Iron Grenadier, and I'll pass it back to you, Pat.
All right. Well, next up is our feedback segment called Combat Comms.
Call it G.I Joe. Go get Breaker. He can do it.
As always, we want to start off Combat Comms with a roster of our battle-hardened Crusader Club veterans. These are the fine folks that joined us on our Crusaders Club. They enjoy early access to special LONGBOX Crusade video episodes, free raffle giveaways, voting on show programming, and so much more. And to so much more, do you want to know what that is?
Is it access?
It is access. But how much access?
How much access?
You might want to ask. How much access is it?
Pat, how much access?
Well, Jared, it's all the access. It's all the access.
Is there an
I'm touching
OnlyFans?
everything.
Oh, no.
So these are the fine folks that are getting all the access to everything, and they're reaping the benefits of it and giving some much appreciated support to the show.
And Helica Wolf. Ow.
Elburn Elvis.
Bill Beer.
Blast it or stash it.
Braxton Underwood.
Captain Entropy.
Clinton Robinson.
Dave Collins.
Gary Viola.
Gene Hendricks.
Gerald Green.
Ooh, this guy here is trying to sneak in when he wants to get all the action. So here's proof that you really get all the action with the one, the only Jeason Keen.
What?
Jeremy L.
Jim Jarmer, and I hope you like Jim Jarman too.
Joe Thomas.
John Watson.
Josh Strickland.
Candace Ward.
MVP Captivating Kathy Bright.
Mark Ross.
Maxwell Traver.
Michael Wagner.
Miranda W.
P.D. Devons.
Paul Hicks.
Rick from Jeff and Rick Present.
Rob Morgan.
Ross Michaud.
Ryan Daly.
Samantha Maney.
Sean Urbanski.
Spidey67.
Steve Cronin.
Tim Price.
Tony Pennington.
And Toronto Cop. If we missed anybody in our list, we do apologize. Keep in mind that we record these episodes well. I mean well. If you want to know how well we do it, it's like all the well access in advance. But still, no worries. Just let us know and we will get you at it as soon as we can. If we miss you, send us an email at contact@longboxcrusade.com and we will get it straightened out. So you might be asking yourself, how do I become a Crusaders Club member? You know, how do I?
You don't have to create a fake account with a new identity identical to your own with a different last name. That's silly. Why would you think that? No. You can just join the Crusaders Club by going to patreon.com, right?
You're right, Jace.
Bizarrely specific, but yeah.
That is strangely that how you would know all that information.
All access.
That's why you get it. You get all that access. So you might be asking yourself, I want to be like Jeason Keen. How do I get all that access? It's simple. Like Jason said, you just head on over to patreon.com and search for LONGBOX Crusade. And for as little as $1 a month, you'll get all the access to the amazing world of Crusaders Club member. I mean, all the access. Come check it out. Now let's see what messages we have from our platoon of loyal listeners we have waiting for us on Breaker's ComSat.
Communications officer, codename Breaker.
These are from episode 28, where we featured issue number 28, and Joe November.
Gotta love those halvesies. Our first comment is from our MVP, Captivating Kathy Bright. She said, hashtag Team I Am Fat Mountain. It's funny, but I don't think I like it.
I get it. I get it. She's translating.
She said, this episode was just too offensive. Hashtag 12-inch Joes. Hashtag thrust the payload. Hashtag got a grip on all the characters. These are all things subtly naughty things we said. She said, in truth, I may have giggled the whole time. So thanks for getting our vibe, Captain.
All access.
All the access. Who else we got in that comsack that you carry around there?
Yep. In my comsack. Yep. We got Clinton Robinson. And Clinton says, man, oh man, that is one sweet cover.
Yeah. As a reminder to the audience, that's the one where barrel roll is like flying through on the Raptor Viper thing. It's cool looking.
Yeah.
And finally, we have Unpacking the Power of Power Pack, which is Rick from that show. And Rick said, that was my geeky yelp on your voicemail. I do not know what came over me. And I'm glad he mentioned that, because I want to first remind everybody that our voicemail, well, Pat, you can tell us what the voicemail is. It's technically in your section.
Sure. Here's a reminder, and you want to reach us, you can just leave us a voicemail at 707-532-5269. That's 707-532-LBOX.
Pick up the phone. Good job, everybody. Speaking of which, Pat, we do have an audio send in for this episode. We have a very awesome. Sounds like a very young listener. If you remember a couple episodes ago, we said, give us your Yo Joe. Yeah, we'll toss it in. So we do have a Yo Joe from a young listener. First, I will play the Yo Joe for you just by itself right now, and then I'll add the Yo Joe when we Yo Joe out at the end. I will add
it to the Yo Joe.
Her Yo Joe.
Oh, that would be a really sweet idea.
So this is it. This is what it sounds like by itself.
Yo, Joe.
Okay, so there is our first send-in official Yo Joe. We can kind of count Rick. It's good stuff. We thank whoever that mystery person is for the Yo Joe. We are going to add it, like I said, to our Yo Joe as we finish the show today. And we encourage any listener out there that wants to join the Yo Joe train and get added to the Yo Joes at the end of the episode to go ahead and drop your Yo Joe at 707-532-5269. And that
pick up the phone.
I couldn't help it. Couldn't let one go.
Say Yo Joe on the phone.
Say Yo Joe on the phone. All right, guys, this is going to bring us to mission complete status for this episode of G.I. Joe Chronicles, The Devil's Due Years. If you'd like to hear more from us in the realm of comic books, action films, vintage TV shows, movies, serials, and so much more, check out the entire Longbox Crusade Network. DJ Kristatos, where can they find that?
Well, Jared, I'm glad you asked. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and most podcatchers out there, or at www.longboxcrusade.com. We're also on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We've been putting so much more out on the YouTube channel, so go ahead and check that out as well. And that's all at Longbox Crusade. Back to you, Jared.
Awesome. If you want to chat with us online, we can be found at... Back to you, Pat.
Well, Jared, I'm glad you asked. On the Twitter at Kristatos01. Jared, where can they find you if they want to get all the Jared access?
If you want all of the access, it's at Yard Sale Artist, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It's all at Yard Sale Artist. And you can check out some of my artwares at www.theyardsaleartist.com. And there are quite a few G.I. Joe drawings done on pages from Army infantry manuals there. If that excites you, come spend some money at my website. Seriously, I got bills to pay.
This place is nice, y'all. He ain't kidding.
Yeah, I shelled out a lot of money for the studios that Jason is currently enjoying. Speaking of Jason, you don't do a lot of social media, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm kind of out of social media for the time being, but I do have a little podcast I've been playing around with called Keen Comics. It's just me going through some of my favorite issues of comic books. I've got some new issues recorded. I haven't published them yet. I'm trying to save up a few to get out there that I'm going through with one of my good friends and my godson. I'm going back to the 90s Avengers, if you were familiar with the Leather Jacket Avengers, where Black Knight, Circe, and Crystal. So, yeah, we're in the middle of reading Operation Galactic Storm right now. So hopefully those episodes will start coming out soon. So, yeah, check out Keen Comics.
Keen Comics, Keen Comics.
Correct.
Awesome. I dig that. We're going to have to check that out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks for joining us for this episode of G.I. Joe Chronicles, The Devil's Due Years. We will see you on the battlefield next episode, where we'll cover issue number 31, Players and Pawns, part 4 of 5. Until then, platoon, fall out.
Yo, Joe!
The music themes for this show are done by musical genius Joe November. Please check out his SoundCloud at Josephline99. That's Josephline 99. You will not regret it.
What would be a full Weazel? I mean,
We'll have to talk.
we don't got enough time for
Jason
that.
together, right? That would be the full.
There you
Weazel.
go.
Like the full Wait, no, never mind. Okay.
Yeah, this is definitely the point where you should move on. I'm going to
Outtakes.
Oh my goodness! Just like the Dolly Parton song. Did she sing Geraldine? I might have
Oh,
made that.
Darlene.
Dang it! I was close. I'm gonna edit that out. Doesn't matter.
What kind of army song did Dolly Parton sing?